Hello and welcome. Today we have a special guest, Shaheen, and she's brave soul, willing to ask her questions so that all of you can learn as she does. So welcome, Shaheen.
Thank you, Neha.
Yes. So what are you thinking about?
So my question, I know I'm not alone in this, and so I hope it speaks to a lot of professional women in the same situation. So I have two young children, a 3.5-year-old and a 2-year-old, and I work full time. And you know that I am very social. I have a good number of friends that I really enjoy and love, and my family's nearby, and obviously I have a husband. And so my question is about balance. And I think since getting married and having my kids, which all happened very quickly within the last 3 to 4 years, I'm finding some difficulty in striking a balance between work, play, family, friends. And I've had some friends reach out to me and say, hey, where are you? We don't see you anymore, which is nice. It's nice to be loved and missed. And at the same time, I find myself with no time. I think as a lot of professional moms, when I talk to you from my car. If I talk to friends, it's on my way to work or it's on my way coming home. And then when I'm home, my time is just all with my children. And when they go to sleep, it's a little bit of time with my husband or catching up on things. And I want to find the time and make the time to see friends and talk to friends, and same with family. But I'm just emotionally spent, physically exhausted. And so my question is, how do I communicate this with love and compassion that maybe right now I won't have as much time to spend with friends, even though I want to, but there's only so many hours in the day without compromising those relationships, because you know me, and it's very important to me, personal relationships with friends, with family, with everybody.
So that's a big one. It's a big one because the question that I'm thinking really doesn't have to do with that. The question is, with all of this going on, how are you taking care of you? Because everything you told me is all outward. So before we get to the conversation about them, tell me about your own self-care. How are you doing?
I mean, I was thinking about that too. I think overall I am generally in a good place. Like, I have everything that I've always wanted. I have the career that I want. I have children, which I can't imagine my life without children. I have a good partner. I have a loving community. Obviously, when people reach out and say, we miss you, that's only good. But yeah, I mean, I don't have time to go to the gym anymore, which I like to do. So what I have started doing as of January 1st, which is 8 days in, is every night I try to exercise a little bit after the kids go to sleep, because it makes me feel good. It's something my husband and I can do together. And it was a big part of my life before children, was physical fitness, and made me feel emotionally stable and grounded and measured. So I'm making the space for that and the time for that, which again doesn't give me time to say talk on the phone or check in or meet someone for drinks after work.
So let's just start with the self-care, right? So there's self-care on a physical level, which you're speaking about fitness and how we nourish ourselves, our energy levels, our sleep. So as physicians, I want to just put in here, the most fascinating piece is how little time we ever spent learning about any of those things, right?
It's amazing. It's amazing. Yeah, we really didn't. No.
And so that was something I had to learn about after I burned out. And burnout, I think as physicians as well, it's really easy for us to push through our own physical body's symptoms in order to care for others. And on top of that, you're a woman. So by nature, oxytocin and the way that we form and the hormones running through us is to tend and befriend, to take care of others, right? So we've got a lot of things going here for you to be outwardly focused. And so before we get to this conversation with other people, because one thing that I know and I can hear in the way that you're speaking is your social circle recharges you.
Yes.
And so one thing that I want to make sure is that not only do you have to take, self-care is not just on a physical level. Self-care is on a mental, emotional, and spiritual level as well. It sounds like you're really connected to your work and the meaning of your work. It sounds like you really love and, are enjoying your family. That gives you purpose. It sounds like you're just starting to reconnect to the self-care piece for you. And so now, what is your ideal outcome? Because sometimes at certain points in our lives, certain priorities shift in certain arenas, and that's kind of how it is, right? Like when we were studying in school, we might not have had as much time to travel and do other things, and we kind of knew that was for a short period of time in our lives. And so right now, what would your ideal situation look like around your friends? How would you want it to be?
I think I would just ask for some grace right now.
Mm-hmm.
And nicely, with love and politely, maybe just point out that right now, because my children are so small, that they're going to take up the majority of my free time. If you can even
What are you afraid of? What are you afraid of here, Shaheen? Because you're being nice and polite and like you're being very soft and right. What are you afraid of here?
I guess maybe I'm afraid. I guess number one, I'm afraid I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings because it's all coming from a good place. It's nice to be missed and wanted, and it's nice that people want to spend time with me.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to be hurtful in saying you're not my priority right now, because that's not true.
No, it kind of is true.
It is true. It is true. My kids are my family is my priority.
You have little children.
My children are my priority.
Like they're right now they depend on you.
You're right. It is true.
It is true. And it's okay. It doesn't mean, I think what you might be mistaking is the fact that right now your focus and attention need to go on your family and your children and on your own self-care and your partner doesn't mean that somehow these people are less important.
That's what it is. Yes, they're not less important. Exactly.
In fact, you love them and they are really important. And for this period in time, you have to shift your focus to growing this area of your life that is really important to you. Right? And the deal is, how confident are you that if they are upset or disappointed, that you can have the conversation where you remain open, curious, and open to their disappointment? Don't try to change it. Don't try to fix it. They miss you. And so have you ever been disappointed by somebody, having different priorities or not being able to spend time with you? And did you get over it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so don't try to save them. You don't need to save them from whatever this is. You need to trust that they are strong, they are whole, they are capable individuals, and they are resourceful. And they miss you. How wonderful. And if you have to disappoint them short term so that you can take care of what is your top priority, you'll be open to their experiences and letting them know when you do have time. But it's not personal. And it's nothing that anyone did wrong. And you don't have to be delicate and polite. You definitely want to be compassionate and open. But as soon as you find yourself starting to tiptoe around, I'm going to try and be really polite and really nice. And those things are all great, right? And notice when you're trying to control the outcome of somebody else's reaction. Instead of just being authentically you. Like if it were me and you, I'd say something like, hey, Shaheen, wanted to talk to you. We just got to hang out so much, a few years ago. And I want you to know how special you are to me, how special that time is to me. And now after having a few kids, what I really wanted to check in with you about was, I know we don't get to see each other as often, and I never said no to you before when you'd call and say, can we go grab a drink or whatever. Listen, part of me feels a little lame because when I'm with you, I recharge. And then there's another part of me that thinks, wow, this is a really precious and special time in my children's life, and I want to be there for it. And I want you to know that when you call and you miss me and you ask me to do things, even when I say no, I still get this like little hit of love and attention, and I'm so glad that you think of me. And right now, I just think until my kids are in school, it's just too much of an energy output right now for me. I need to focus on home and then spend a little time rejuvenating myself. And when I do have time, I promise you will be, one of my first phone calls. So I just want you to know I'm putting this on a little bit of, snooze, but don't think that it has anything to do with you. It's literally because I have to shift my focus right now in my life. And I am really looking forward as well to a time when my kids are a little more independent and we get to do this again. How is that?
I love it. That's beautiful. It's perfect.
Yeah, right? And it doesn't take a long time. It just clears things up so you don't feel that weirdness. You just kind of name it and say it.
Yeah, so the weirdness isn't there. And some of these friends don't have kids, so I think it's kind of hard when it's not the same situation.
Yeah, listen, I'm an aunt, and it is the best job on earth.
And grandparents. Because you can give them back when you're done playing. Thank you.
So what were your takeaways, Shaheen?
I think the biggest thing is that if sometimes people get disappointed when I speak my truth, it's okay. And as long as I show up with love and compassion, that things will work out eventually. And that maybe an uncomfortable conversation would lead to a long-term benefit again.
Yeah, and the truth is, Shaheen, sometimes you outgrow relationships in your life. It's true. It's true that sometimes your life changes and somebody else's life doesn't change and you grow apart. And it's like just honoring, like just show up as who you are. Don't tiptoe. Be the woman that you are and you're becoming. Trust that everybody else can, be strong and resourceful. And if you do grow apart, honor the time you've spent together and look forward to the new pieces that you're creating in your life.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for asking your question. And if any of you out there know that you struggle to not only take care of yourself, but handle all the different hats that you wear to be a good, worker and partner and mother and sister and daughter. And if you know you struggle in multiple roles, the first thing is to do an inventory because how are you taking care of yourself? Start there. Mm-hmm. And then what are your top 3 priorities of where you want to engage your time in? And then you want to also look what inspires you, what gives you energy, what drains you of energy. And as you start to notice the things that give you energy inspire you, the things that drain you of energy may feel more like obligations, and sometimes you have to do the obligations. But you want to really be aware of how often you are saying yes to the obligations, right? But when it inspires you and it's what your focus is right now in your life, the answer is yes. So thank you, Shaheen. Thanks for joining us.